In WeDAA Quick Start Wizard Intro Part 1 we have learned how to use WeDAA's Quick Start Wizard to generate a simple full-stack application as microservices architecture. In this video we will be learning how to run the full-stack application build with WeDAA. Here we have used the React as application front-end component, Spring Boot as Java back-end component and Postgres as persistent layer of the application. First, Spring Boot backend is called Backend 1. Backend own service port is 8081. Backend service port is 8082. Frontend port is 4200. Let's build and generate the code to run the application. Once code is generated, we can unzip and import the generated source folder to Visual Studio Code. As we can see, simple full-stack application code contains generated structure for respective application. WeDAA generates how to run README file at the root of application. Required prerequisites and boot up sequence of generated components are detailed in how to run README file. As per the sequence, first we need to start the backend components and then frontend. We can see there are two backend services and a frontend service. Let's look at the Backend 1 service README file and start the required dependencies. Backend service is having dependency with Postgres database, so first we need to start the database. Database can be set up with the execution of Docker command given in backend component README. Once the DB setup is done, we need to build and start the backend service. Similar execution steps needs to be followed for second backend service and database setup. Once the backend services are ready, we can vary the database Docker stats and backend services by accessing the static pages served by backend services. Next we need setup and start the front-end web app. Execution steps needs to be followed given with web app component README to build and start the front-end component of application. Once built successfully, front-end component can be accessed through localhost with port 4200. Before accessing the application frontend, let's connect to the backend services database and verify the database setup and tables created. To connect to the database, we are using the pgadmin client. Database configuration details can be referenced from PostgreSQL.yml file of respective service source main Docker folder. As we can see, the name of database ID backend1, username backend1, no password required. IP and port of database is set as localhost and 5432 for backend1 service. Similar exercise needs to be done for setting up other services database. Here in this case we have backend2 service. Since all database are running as Docker container service, here we see the error while connecting to database with the localhost and port 5432. Let's go back to PostgreSQL Docker YAML and check the port mapped with localhost for second database instance. Port given is 5433. Once updated, we are successfully connected to database. Let's access the front end of application built with React and verify the API's full stack functioning of application built. As we can see, backend1 service is running on port 8081. Backend2 service is running on port 8082. Every full-stack application built with WeDAA comes with default notes application. Let's add some notes with the respective service APIs and verify in database. With the admin client, we can verify the new note rows are added to the database note table as new record. You can explore the code generated with well-defined folder structure. Every application architecture built WeDAA contains blueprint folder with the application components details and architectural dependency of application.